keeping the fear away by keeping at it. The joy of a fountain soda, and your words matter.
Welcome to the Hopefulist, a daily talk show hosted by veteran broadcaster Wendy McClure. Join Wendy each day as she shares her life lessons that transformed her from perpetual pessimist to the ultimate hopefulist. The perfect morning show to get you caught up on the day's top stories while sharing insights that will lead to positive transformation and bring out the hopefulist in you. For more inspiration, visit Hopefulist.com. And now, here's your host and hopefulist, Wendy McClure.
Hello and welcome to a Wednesday. It is June 3rd, 2020, day 262 of Gotta Get on Ellen. Hopefulist training. It is here, and I am so darn excited to be putting this out into the world. I have been working on this for months and months and months, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it at the end. So if you are interested in becoming a hopefulist like me, stay tuned and I'll give you all the information. Tugger's feeling a little bit better. Went and got her some pumpkin yesterday. She a little out of it a lot of the day yesterday, but she started, let's just say, the how shall I word this? The deposits that she was leaving were looking a little more healthy by the end of the day. And a little orange, too, from having a little pumpkin that she's not used to having. So, like I said, she was having an issue with her pooper. And after one time coming back in, Joe had just gotten home from work, and we went out to make sure that she's not having as much trouble as she had been having and that everything was coming out okay and all of that. So we came back in at one point with her, and Joe said to me, "You're probably going to want to check her butt, make sure it's cleaned up." And I said, "Why don't you do that?" And do you know what he said? Ladies, if you're listening, do you know what he said? Daddies don't do that. Daddies don't do that. I could tear him a new one, but I won't, because I know he didn't mean it in a sexist kind of way, but it was a very sexist thing to say. I just happen to know he won't do that. But, maybe it's a good thing we didn't have kids. Does that mean that he would have changed any diapers? He would have changed diapers. I'm pretty sure about that. But, Mama had to take care of it. And I did have to do some cleaning up. And when I got the little wet paper towel to get back there, poor sucker, slammed her butt down on the floor like, "What are you doing back there?" Ugh, I'm sorry. Too much information. But, life is an adventure. It so is an adventure. Speaking of adventures, I had my own little adventure aside from Tucker yesterday. I had a few errands to run. I had to go get her old dog food. So I had to go to the pet store, and then I needed gas. So if you're familiar with Wawa, I went to get gas there. So I thought, feeling a little bit more confident now about the COVID and not that worried, and I got my mask. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to treat myself to a fountain soda. To me, there's just nothing like a fountain soda. Big old cup, lots of ice, sipping through a straw. I have not just merely walked into Wawa for a soda in almost 3 months. So that in itself felt so good. It's like, yes, a soda. And I just walked into Wawa like I can. I know that Wawa's been open this whole time, but I have stayed away from it. And then I bought the soda so that I could sip on it as I took my drive down south to get the best darn fresh tomatoes in the area. There is a little farm stand down south, kind of like a farm stand, nursery, little deli store type thing. They do a lot. They sell a lot of fresh seafood as well, where that is where we have been going to get some fresh seafood. And he told me that this batch of tomatoes that he's been getting will probably start running out in the next week or so. I was like, no. He said, yeah, it's getting too hot now. These are coming from a hothouse, and it's getting too hot for them now. It's going to kill them all. He's always got some kind of bad news about tomatoes whenever I ask about them. He is the one that informed me that New Jersey will not have any good tomatoes this year because they all planted their crop, and then we had that cold snap, and he said everything froze and died. I said, I'll grow my own. He goes, good luck getting a plant. He's just full of good news, isn't he? Just full of good news. So I have a feeling there's going to be fresh tomatoes. At some point, somewhere, it will happen. It has to. It's not summer without fresh Jersey tomatoes. We've been trying to wait until we get the dock completed to go out and get what we normally would get to decorate the dock, be it flowers and my tomato plants. And then last year I was growing basil, so we still haven't picked up any of that stuff, except for my Gerber daisies and my gardenias, to decorate the dock with. And on our vacation, our staycation next week, we are hoping to get all of that done and everything in place. So it was a very nice day, getting away, feeling a little bit normal, feeling a little bit the way things used to be, a little bit. I mean, we still had our masks on, and it was just nice to get out, honestly. Get in the car. I sometimes think that I'm going to forget how to drive. Whew, been a long, long time. I wanted to talk about the topic for today, and after my little speech yesterday about trying to stay away from controversial topics, I'm beginning to feel like I'm shirking my duty if I don't address it in some way. So I thought maybe a good way to do that, and yesterday being Blackout Tuesday, I don't know if you were aware of this, but a lot of people were just sharing a black screen on their social media pages and vowed to not post on social media for the day. So I felt a little guilty even putting a topic up, to be honest with you, but it's part of what I do, so I tried to make it so that it kind of coincided with the topic and the purpose of the Blackout Tuesday. So I wanted to hear from you a word or a phrase that you would like to describe this country moving forward. And I think we got some really good ones. I started out with hopeful. I'm hopeful that things will change. I'm hopeful that things will get better. I'm hopeful that people will see what has been going on all of this time. Kate says unity. Andy says compassion and compromise. Michelle says peaceful. Nancy says smarter. Marianne says love. Denise and Michelle both say united. Yes, it's a really good one. Marianne says wiser. Kim says strong. Roxanne says empathetic. And Corinne says cooperation. And Melissa also chimed in with colorblind. It's a crazy time. A lot of protests are being planned, and we know that a lot of them are turning into rioting and looting. Not all of them. You know, that's when the message kind of gets away. But I think they're all starting out with good intentions, with a purpose, and a call for real change. It was announced yesterday that there's going to be a protest march here in our neighborhood on Saturday. And I can only speak for myself when I say that I'm not worried that this is going to turn into the fray that we have seen in other places. This is not New York City. This is not Philadelphia. This is not Houston or D.C. The march is planned for over the bridge to LBI and back. there's not even any stores there. I mean, obviously they can go off course, but I just don't feel that things will get out of hand here as they have in other areas. I could be completely wrong, but I have to say, this was posted in our community group page last night, and I am shocked and disappointed at the hate that I saw regarding this protest, at the violence being threatened, and at the absolute refusal to see the purpose in it. I had my eyes widened yesterday, big time, about the people that I live with. We are very lucky here. We live in a very affluent area, and Joe and I have worked our butts off and continue to work our butts off in order to live in such a place. But that doesn't mean that we can't sympathize and empathize with things that are going wrong in this world. That doesn't mean that we should stand silent because it doesn't affect us. Because once you don't speak up on something that you feel that you should, then you're just going along, and that's never going to help. It's never going to promote change if you sit back in silence for fear. I didn't post anything on my own personal Facebook page for a while because I was in fear of repercussions from my own friends and family. And I thought to myself, if that's the biggest thing I'm fearful of, I really have it made. Because some people are in fear of their lives every day. And I was really only in fear of backlash, which is just so petty and minimal. So, broke my own rule, spoke out somewhat, and there you go. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, we can all agree to just get along. Hopefully, fingers crossed. On to the blog post. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is a habit. This quote by Will Durant. So, yesterday we talked about getting over those fears by just doing it. So once you do that, it's going to feel so great. You will realize how worrying was so much worse than the actual doing. But once you conquer your fear, you must do it again, then again. This is definitely one thing I continue to work on myself. I have such a habit of finally conquering something and then never doing it again until, of course, I need it again. So if it's months later, I likely will have forgotten how to do the thing to begin with. So I'm basically starting over to conquer this task, and the fear comes rushing back. I think things like, I knew I couldn't do this. I knew I couldn't. This is why it's so important to keep doing the new things you learn, especially if you plan to use that skill again. For example, when it comes to figuring out how to write newsletters, I had to find a template and figure out how to choose from all the options. I had to make it look nice while getting out the information I wanted to convey. It could be very overwhelming at first. I was very overwhelmed with it. So once I got my first newsletter out, you know what I did? I celebrated by not sending another one for months. Then I had to figure it all out again once I got the courage to try again. If I would have done it again, even just for practice, every few days, then I would have remembered what I was doing. Repetition is our friend. Once you figure out how to do something, keep doing it. Practice it. Become an expert. There will become a point that you will no longer need to practice. It will just be ingrained in your brain. And then you won't be able to forget it even if you try. As I said, this is something I don't do as much as I should and as much as I encourage you to do. Because you know what? We get busy and we don't enjoy doing things that we find difficult. But it's important. It's never going to hurt you to have skills. It can only help. And each time you do it, you will get better. Next thing you know, you'll be helping all your friends write their newsletters because all your friends are writing newsletters too. Am I right? I'm kidding, of course. But keep at it. Gaining new skills and habits are so valuable. And once you get it done, you will never have fear about it again. The other great thing is it teaches you that you can learn. You can learn just about anything, definitely something that is important to you. So I urge you to practice and keep doing it until you have it down pat. Then you can just work on improving and being fancy. And don't we all love being fancy? Oh my. I thought I had edited because I wrote my blog post ahead of time and I switched around the dates, and it's saying that it's Thursday on here, but I know that it's Wednesday. I know it's Wednesday. So we are at the hump. We are almost to the freaking weekend. I want you to go out there and be your badass self, and always remember, I'm cheering you on.
Thank you for listening to The Hopefulist, hosted by Wendy McClure. For more inspiration, please visit Hopefulist.com. Thanks, and we'll see you tomorrow on The Hopefulist.
Hopefulist training is here. Go to hopefulist.com/courses for all the information, or email me at thehopefulist1@gmail.com. We've got real exercises, real tools that you can use, and real science-backed information that will help you live a happier life.